In this video, I'll show you what to put, or in this case, what not to put in the live site area of your Joomla configuration.php file. Hey there, Joomla fans. Tim Davis here. I'm a Joomla fan too. And thank you for tuning in to this week's Maintenance Monday live stream number 40 here on the Basic Joomla Tutorials channel. So if you're watching this live as usual, hey, say hello in the chat. Hey, oh, nice to see you. And then also give the video a like. It'll help others find it. And if you're watching the recording, then please, why not subscribe, ring that bell if you're not already subscribed, and leave a comment about something. Maybe something come up you want to comment about. Anyway, so today's topic, what I wanted to look at was just something that kind of came on my radar because of an update of a new tool that Phil Taylor put on myjoomla.com, and it has to do with the live set setting in the configuration.php file of your Joomla site. You can't even change that setting in the configuration area in Joomla. You have to do it in the file manager. And I haven't always wondered about it. I've not wondered about it very much. I even stopped using that field a long time ago because it was breaking things on my site, and things were working without it. So I figured someday I'll look into it. So I looked into it a little bit today, and that's what we're going to just check out briefly here. So let's head on over, pay attention to the screen here. Let me just transition. Remind you to head on over to basicjoomla.com/giveaways and enter the contest for some Joomla prizes. Free 1-year membership to manage one site on myjoomla.com or multiple sites for 1 month. A free pro version of a Regular Labs extension from regularlabs.com, and a copy of Joomla 3 Explained from OS Training. In fact, we're going to talk about OS Training, mention them in a little bit. So, as I mentioned before, you cannot get to, as I go to the configuration page area for this website that I have set up. Hi, Mary. And there is nowhere in here that you can set the live site. Not in the site tab, not the system tab, not the server tab, the nowhere tab. It just can't. What you have to do is go into the file space on your web hosting account, go to your configuration.php file, and so I have already done that in anticipation of that today. Your control panel, I'll just show you very quickly. I use cPanel hosting, so your control panel would have an area where you'd go to your file manager, and in the file manager you would then, which open up on a different screen here. In the file manager you would then go to the folder where your Joomla install is, and in this case it's free Joomla, and there's the configuration.php file there. Now when you open up that file, you're going to be presented with a list of all of the settings. I might have to leave if my wife's computer blows up behind me. They just start making a bunch of noise. In fact, let me just reach back and turn that off because that's going to be annoying for this whole thing. There we go. You'll see a whole list of the settings that you have to put in for your Joomla install. And then as we work our way down, we get down to public $ live site. Now, I have put the URL of this particular Joomla site, basicjoomla.com/free Joomla, in there. And as you can see, before we were in the back end, it worked fine. And also the front page is working fine, so it's not causing any harm. Probably because this is a very basic, very plain Joomla install that I have here. And that would be why. Because I've had situations where years ago when I was using the live URL of the website in there, I would end up with the URL in the address bar being https www.basicjoomla.com/free Joomla /www.basicjoomla.com/free Joomla. It would get added in a second time. Other times it wouldn't. And that's why I stopped using it. And I'm pretty much I'm one of those users of Joomla where once it's working, I don't need to know why it was broken or something's missing. It seems to be working. I don't worry about it too much until I learn more about it at some point along the line when you have time. And for most of us, that just doesn't happen. So so even though this works right now with the URL of the live site pasted in there, the best recommendations that I can see and that I can find is to leave Livesite blank. Now, I mentioned about a tool that Phil Taylor put on his My Joomla site. We'll get to that in a second. But I did some Googling around and some searching of some posts about the Livesite setting. And one of the best things I came up with here was on the OS training URL, and where they basically, a page on OS training, where they basically are looking at a guided tour of Joomla's configuration.php file. And their comment about Livesite is that in the newest versions, this should not have a value. I selected too much there. There may be times you need to fill in a value. If you're redirecting your URL, you need to put the actual URL to the Livesite on this line. Or if you're creating a copy of a site for testing and modification, for example, and then they go on and talk about, but they basically say for the most part, this should be left blank. Now, I did a lot of searching, and there weren't many results that came up when I Googled what to put in the Livesite setting here. And most of the forum posts and most of the pages that came up in the top results were for older versions of Joomla, 1.6, 1.7, 1.5. And there was a lot of comments. One of the common comments, I wouldn't say there was a lot, but one of the common comments was, if you need to put Livesite in your configuration.php file, it's probably because you have a really poorly configured web host. And the famous solution to that oftentimes in the forum is get a better web host. So I don't always think that that's the easiest way to go, because there's situations where it's not, but it works on my site without it, and I don't need to put it in, so I'm happy with how my server's running, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. But it looks to be a setting that is not really required, except in very unique circumstances, as outlined here on this page. I'll put it in the description of the video below. Or if you have a host that's not configured very well. And literally, other than one post that came up about for Joomla 3.2, and I think that person was wrong in saying to put in the Livesite information in the configuration, it just doesn't show up anywhere as something that must be done. And I know that when it's in there and it's not needed, it can break stuff. So if you're ever wondering what should go in there or what shouldn't go in there, I think the vast majority of us just leave it empty. Don't put anything in there. And then I would think of myself personally, if I was struggling with a problem with a particular extension or some issue, and I went into a forum or asked what the solution or what the problem was, then probably you'd get an instruction on, hey, put in the Livesite in configuration, or get a new host, or whatever. So before I go on just to talk to you and show you that tool that Phil Taylor added to myjoomla.com, do you know of any circumstance where you need to put in the Livesite? Just leave a comment in the video below, in the comments below, for others to see, and maybe we'll revisit that in a future Maintenance Monday. So if you have any insight or any knowledge or experience in the Livesite setting that I've not mentioned here, and the odds are very high that you do, someone out there does, then by all means leave a comment. Now, let's go back to our attention. Here we are in myjoomla.com, and I discovered a neat little trick today. When you're looking at a quick snapshot of a site that you're managing in myjoomla.com, so here we are, this basicjoomla.com/free Joomla, you can click on the green eye over here and hide all the settings that are okay. So here's some things for me to visit in this Joomla install. And you'll see here, one issue, do not use Livesite configuration unless absolutely necessary. So we can go over here and click on investigate. It'll take another look at the site, and it's going to say, holy schmoly, look at that. You're using Livesite value in your configuration.php. Don't do it. You can safely remove it. So this would be really handy if someone's got it in their site from many updates ago, and maybe they used it and they don't need to anymore, or mistakenly put it in thinking, oh, and I know some of the times I put it in in that part of the configuration file. Didn't know much about Joomla, was setting it up, was new to it. Thought, oh, well, I'll put the URL in there. It's there. I want it to work. Anyway, so on this tool, you can actually just click and he will fix it. So let's try that. Yes, it may not be reversible, so we'll go ahead and fix it. We get a nice ding. I don't know if you could hear that. And now if I go back to the tool, go back to the file here. I'm not going to save because that would put Livesite back in what I have in there, but I am going to refresh, open that page again, that file. And now when we go down to Livesite, it is empty and the problem is solved. So I'm, as those of you being on the channel and around the Maintenance Monday live streams for a while, I'm not a really heavy-duty coder. I have only enough, a little bit of knowledge to fix things when given advice in forums. And I'm pretty busy trying to make a living at all of this stuff. So sometimes I just don't have the time to go off into the weeds and figure out everything, how everything works. And one of the reasons I really like about Joomla is that more accomplished coders, smarter coders, and other people that know this stuff and the power of the community are putting all this stuff together so we can use them. And so even though there are people that want to know how everything works, I'm quite often happy to know just that it works. And that's why I'm super happy with all the stuff I do with myjoomla.com and maintaining my sites and being able to look up forums and also being able to share things in chats like we have here. So speaking of chats, before we get on to our weekly discussion, for those of you who have been watching just to see what to put in the live site information there, don't put anything. And if you want to check out other things for your site, don't forget you can get a free audit from myjoomla.com to run on one of your sites. And you can also enter, remember, back at basicjoomla.com/giveaways. Maybe you'll win a membership for a year to manage your site on there. But don't worry about putting anything in the live site. So if you're taking off now and not sticking around for the chat, I want to thank you for your support of this channel. I think we're up to like 914. I think it was up as high as 917 or 18, but it's dropped off a few in the last couple of days, which is fine. It comes and goes. But thank you for your support of this channel. If this was helpful, please subscribe. Ring the bell so you get notifications of new live streams and tutorials when they are launched and when they come online on the page. And leave a comment below if there's any questions that you have or suggestions. Just leave them below here. So for those of you who have taken off now, thank you for watching. As always, enjoy your Joomla sites and God bless. All right. Yes, I saw that, Mary, I saw your comment there. You've been wondering about that lately. You've also had things break and pass completing the live site info. Yeah. And I guess one of the reasons that I thought it'd be an okay topic to do was because when I first started using Joomla and was learning it and setting it up, I would go down and you just kind of look at every setting and you see something that's blank in the live site and you think, well, if it's there, it must be there for a purpose. So I'll put in the URL so everything works. And then sometimes things start to break. I'm trying to remember what it was that really, that live site broke most often for me. I think it was SH404 SEF that ended up, and of course that search engine friendly URLs, which is very much like your URL and live site comes into play. So that's why I bailed on it, but I never really knew if that was just, if there's a benefit to adding it or something I was just getting away with by doing nothing with. And then, yeah, so there you go. Yeah, as far as my wife's computer goes, I do not know what was buzzing there. But let me tell you, I've had a streak. Let me just say, you had a developer ask you to try it on a site you moved with Akiba. Oh, okay, so Mary, he was having problems with the site you moved and it just wasn't working. While you're replying, yeah. Oh, making a subdomain fix the issue. Okay. Yeah, there is something that they say. Hi, in my Joomla, it is that tool is in the snapshot. And so here we got to take a snapshot here again on this site. And let me just transition here. So it's in the snapshot, and just waiting for this for my site to finish talking. Let me just close some stuff here just so I'm not wrecking. There we go. And what I did was to find it was, let's see, I go F3 looking for live. Okay, so it's in the Joomla configuration section, and it's way down at, right now it's third to last in that section. Do not use live site configuration. So now it's green for me. If you happen to use the green, and I'm kind of peering around my microphone here, if you happen to use this green, hide everything, that's okay. You won't see it if you don't have it in there. So it's, but that's where it is down at the bottom. Oh, in the configuration.php. Good question. I've closed that. I think it was alphabetical under live. Let me just go back into there. File manager. It's over here on this page. On this screen anyways. Free Joomla. And configuration.php. Right click and edit. And so we've got, let's see, meta author, access ACD, editor, feed from FTP, gzip, HL. So it is alphabetically. For me, it's around line 39 in my configuration.php. Do you possibly not have it there? The name of the entry is $. Let me just see it. A $ live underscore site equals, and then 2 quotes and a semicolon. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is there. Public live site. Well, of course, they're all public, so they're listed. But alphabetically, that's where it's at. Get back my camera controls here. Yes, so last week I mentioned, just an aside while I was checking that, last week I mentioned my laptop had died when I was away at a conference. And so I did some troubleshooting and figured out that, diagnosed it was probably the video chip in it. And then I looked up this particular model of Asus, which is the Asus that I stuck an Apple sticker on just to confuse people. Mostly Apple people, I think. Asus, this model, and it's a common problem. I've had this for 7 years, but it's the video card, and there's a list of things, simple things to try, like take the CMOS battery out and try to boot it and without, and then to plug an external monitor. Anyways, the final one was to take the motherboard out and clean off the video chip, get the heat sink off, clean off all the paste, and then heat it up from 200 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 to 3 minutes with a heat gun and a pyrometer if you don't have the professional workstation, and that should fix it. And I did all of that and it didn't work, so I've given up. So now when you open my laptop, it has all, I didn't bother putting it together. It's just parts for a Frankenstein later on. So there was that thing with my tech. The micro SD card in my phone, a 128 gigabyte Samsung one, it died on me, so that threw me off on a whole bunch of apps. So I got a replacement coming for that, a smaller chip. The hard drive toaster, you know, those things you put your drives in and you can plug them and unplug them, and it looks like a little toaster. I've had one of those for about 7 weeks and went to use it last night and it blew, and so it won't come on anymore. And I think there's one other tech thing that happened today. Anyway, so it's been a bit of a chainsaw massacre for me as far as tech stuff happening around here. Oh, now hit the little PC again. That's my wife's PC back there. So that's who knows why it was making that sound, but I'll worry about that afterwards. Yours says yeah, public live site, but they all yeah, that's the same thing. They all I've got public all the way down on that file. So and maybe just because this is the first one that I looked at, maybe it's maybe someone else wants to answer that down here because it's I've got public in front of everything, which would be interesting. Let me just check another config file here for another Joomla install one. Let me check my basic one here. And I'm going to take that off the side just so I don't give away my password. No, I've got public on that as well for each and every one. And someone with coding knowledge probably knows that, is it so? We think up here we got PHP, then we have a class of jconfig, and then everything is public. Hey, and Kevin, I think one of the posts that I saw on this topic, and I know for the fast chat we can't have. Hey, Phil. I saw you had just tweeted recently, so anyway, so Kevin, I think one of the posts that I saw was, are you in Idaho, Kevin? Because I saw a post of someone saying that you should put in the live site area. Someone was saying you should put the URL in there, and you said no. Someone that said his name was Kevin M said no because it's that's just a bad host. So so that's probably okay. So that probably was you, Kevin. I thought, okay, that's you. And I looked for you on Facebook. And I don't think that we are friends on Facebook, and maybe you don't want to be friends on Facebook, but just in case you do, let me just bring up my Facebook URL here, and then I'll leave it up to you. I won't tell anybody if you don't friend me. They'll just know that I'm from me weeping quietly. Now this is going to be another funny story here with this phone here. Hello. Great. Well, you're live on the internet. That phone call is so that I can let my wife into an apartment building that's about 5 miles away from here as the crow flies, because we have helped a refugee family come to our city and they don't have a local phone number yet. So anybody who buzzes the front door to visit them, it rings on our home number and I open up the door for them. But I am quickly falling behind here. So, all right, so that's my Facebook URL if anyone wants to friend me that hasn't friended me on there. Now let me catch up here. And okay, so Phil says public is a PHP thing. It means that other PHP classes can read the vars. Okay. And which is obviously needed, I was sort of my guess when I got looking there, but as you know, Phil, I'm not a programmer. I just play one on the internet. No, I don't even pretend to play one on the internet, but yeah, I thought that maybe there we go. I thought that maybe a while ago it was probably something that's just left over from older versions of Joomla. So thanks for confirming that. Okay, Kevin, in an improper configured host, you'll need to identify the live site because of the improper file configuration. Okay, good. All right, so public, private, and protected Google PHP visibility. Okay. Oh, sorry, Phil, you couldn't paste the link, but I was able to okay it and add you there so that you can paste links. So, and I don't know if that is... I'll just repaste that because it looks like you did it with a space. PHP configuration.php.net. Now, if that's not the, go ahead and just paste that URL if you want. Again, Phil, I've set it so that you're able to. Working down here, Kevin, you had a client on a Bluehost account that you had to put the live site in config or it would not load the site. Okay. So that was a good, so let me check that URL here that came up, Phil. Good. Thanks for sharing that. I just have to get back to chat going on here. Yeah, so it's a I guess there still as a good workaround if you're on a host that's not set up properly, but then you want to be on a host that's set up properly. So cool. I don't know. Now, Phil, you were asleep with the iPhone in your ear, but the tool worked. Of course, you know that worked. So that was a cool one. And I have to keep an eye on. Oh, okay, we're still over here. Yeah, some of the other tools that you've got there, I've not played around with. Okay, yeah, if you have Livesite and you forget it and then move to a different URL, yeah, that's another. I could see that causing a mystery for people. Yeah, that's a good argument for making sure, well, keeping things set up properly. But I know sometimes there's little things that we do. We think, well, just do that now and then I'll deal with that later because it could cause problems if I move the site or add something new, and then we forget. So unless you got a really sharp mind and a really good system for tracking those things, don't leave them in place. And Nicholas from Akiba told you that, Kevin. Yeah. Yes, the other one, SCF and SCF extensions. Now, this is just from my reading around. I'm totally open to further explanations, either in the comments or even here. You're stalking my Facebook. My wedding picture, excellent. I guess I should look for, let's see there. All right, IO's confirmed. Now you can stalk more. Although I have quite a bit of stuff mostly available for people to see on Facebook. Although today, and I'm looking into for a future issue, I've lost my window here. A future issue for the, move this to chat, for Maintenance Monday is that I read a really great little update from Mary on the changes to Google Maps and how they're still going to be free to use up to a certain number of views, but you have to register with a credit card in case you go over. And I don't know, and we'll talk about it in a future issue, but I wanted to look around at some workarounds for Google Maps for people that don't want to register a credit card, because as Mary points out in her article, and not to get too much into the issue that I want to talk about this on a different Monday, is that they'll put under development, or they're going to put some kind of watermark on there. So I was checking out Bing Maps, that's Microsoft Maps, and I searched for CyberAssault World Headquarters, which I have registered as a business on Google Places. And all of a sudden I saw pictures that I took from my house in my backyard because I'd used them checking into Foursquare, and there they were publicly visible. So that's talk about forgetting to check things. OpenStreetMap.org. Okay, that's going to be cool. Now, Phil, that's a great link. I'm not going to talk about it now, though, because I thought it would be a great topic for a whole episode of Maintenance Monday. So I don't want to, if I talk too much about it now, but that's a great link, and I thank you for sending that, because I'm definitely going to use that in the discussion. Okay, Mary, you've been looking at that as well too. All right. Well, Mary, my plan was, because you wrote that article, was to touch base with you offline and ask you to look into a few things, like even check out Bing if you need to use the credit card to register with Bing if people want to switch to that. But I didn't even know about OpenStreetMap. So, Mary, if it's okay with you, I'll just leave that. The other reason being is that for 2 Maintenance Mondays, I'm not going to be able to broadcast from my home studio. So I want to keep things going. So I'm looking for something that I can log in from where I'm at and have a discussion and talk about some things and some issues without necessarily being able to switch screens like I do here. So that's one of the topics I was saving for that. So I'll touch base with you outside of the chat here. All right, and all these people stalking my wedding pictures. I could probably come up with a wedding video if you guys are really desperate to watch, but of course that's not what you tuned in for. And that's not why I'm running a live stream either. Dee from Ireland, welcome. Excellent. Dee, that's your first time on the live stream, is that correct? And you got your excellent. Well, good to have you on here. Welcome. And so you got your first paying website. Excellent. Now, so did you get the first paying website and you looked for something to do it on and you did it in Joomla, or did you start using Joomla? How was the order of that? How did that happen? Oh, you learned HTML? Okay. At that site design. I think I've told the story before that I was doing web pages with Dreamweaver, and they were always square and boxy because I used tables. And then I wondered how people are making nice looking. Oh yes, there you go. That's you send it. So it's my desk mug, Phil. So so I discovered Joomla just being in a quick installer and a web hosting account that I had off in Florida. And then I thought, oh, that's how they're making these things look so much better. So that's good. So you learned HTML and website design, and then did you end up going to? Okay, so your tutor recommended to start using CMS systems as opposed to HTMLing it. Cool. Oh, good. He recommended Joomla. Excellent. Dee, have you entered the contest yet? The monthly contest that I've got on the site? So it wasn't part of the course. It's a multimedia course. My daughter, when she graduated from high school, didn't want to go off to university right away. And so my wife and I said to her, look, that's great. You don't have to go off to university if that's what you want. But learn something that you can make some extra money on the side if you need to down the road. My wife teaches piano. And then we also use that as an example. And we also use the example, the stuff at that time, which was a side business for me doing Joomla things. And we encouraged her. So she went off to the local community college, took a course on web design, and learned a bunch of stuff that I had only sort of just learned my own way through years ago. She learned all of HTML and CSS and a bunch of things. And then I taught her Joomla, and she started doing sites with that. So that was so that course gave a really good foundation. And Dee, that's excellent, because if there's so much stuff that you can add to your web projects if you have experience doing different things like a video or multimedia, or even just a concept of it. Because as you know, and let me just bring up, I have to change screens here again. One of the things that I do now is I narrate courses for a client that he sells online, and so the narration just works in really well, and as an added thing that I can do for clients. And I make some I make a good percentage of my monthly stuff on narration that I'm doing. Anyway, so D, have you entered into the contests, the monthly contests yet? Let me just paste the URL there, because last week there was someone that hadn't entered yet. Didn't know about it. Go ahead and enter that. And the trick is that if you're already subscribed to the channel, subscribe anyways again using the entry tool there, because you will get an entry and it won't double subscribe you or anything like that. So, and one of the things that one of the prizes that you can win is a 1-year membership to manage one site or multiple sites on myjoomla.com, which is owned by Phil Taylor, who's here in chat. And it's one of his latest tools that we looked at here on the site. So head on over to that and enter, and maybe a win. Because right now it shows that there's 130 entries. That's complete entries. It's not necessarily 130 people. In fact, it never is 130 people for sure. That's okay, Hayo. We no worries, man. But typically, sometimes there's like maybe only 5 or 6 people that have entered, and we can't have the same people winning every month. Anyways, go ahead and enter, and that will be great. Phil, do you have any secrets to tell us about what's next? The next tool that you're going to put out on the site? Yes, that was a complete sentence. Oh, okay. No sneak peeks. Phil, is your plane painted yet? They get that finished? Phil's got a plane and they had it all stripped down. And so I was suggesting that they paint it orange, but he's returning it to its original blue and white. So orange is my favorite color. Oh, they'll paint it in 4 weeks, or it takes 4 weeks to paint? Just checking something there. Oh, okay, they have to layer the layers and let them cure. Cool. Do you, I guess other than call letters and that, do you have to paint the plane because it's aluminum? There must be a protection factor to the paint, but there are all aluminum planes, right? Or is that just a wartime thing? Or did they have some kind of coating? And Kevin, you're not in Idaho anymore. Where are you now? If you're still in the chat here. Okay, well that makes sense. Go faster slippiness. And Vinny's not here today yet. Unless he's lurking. Unless he's one of the 5 people lurking. Although at this point, I'm not sure anybody is lurking. Alrighty, well, looks like things have kind of slowed down in the chat department. I think maybe yeah, we have to sync our schedules. Yeah, I guess. Oh, yeah, promote next week's live stream. Yeah. I need a schedule for us in order to be able to sync the schedules. I usually get them on, there's usually maybe half an hour or 15 minutes notice on Twitter, but I have not yet, have not, neither have I ever been a disciplined person to have an actual working schedule for certain things. Things that I have done that happen regularly during the week in jobs that I've had and roles that I've done. Hi, see you later, man. You're out. The latest follow Westworld. See you next time, Hio. Yeah, so if there's a job that I've had and it required me to be somewhere at a certain time on a regular schedule, then I do that. But a lot of this other stuff now, especially since I'm unemployed and starting my own company, I guess the difference between did I say unemployed, self-employed, and owning your own company is I gotta get to the point where someone else is working. Yeah, I think I knew that as a TV series. It rings a bell. Hi-oh. Anyways, having the is setting a schedule, and it would be really good, but I'm just not there on a personal level yet to really have things nailed down. I think part of the reason is that I end up doing quite a bit of stuff dealing in reaction to things that are coming up. So the Monday, just the fact that I've done this for 40 Monday afternoons in a row in a given window between like noon and as late as 5 o'clock or something like that in that time has been something just to get me making videos so Google's algorithm is happy, and also just to add a bit of discipline so that's at least that I do this, because there's a whole bunch of things. I'm behind on some tutorials to make for some developers that have asked me to do some extension reviews, and I've got one coming up on YubiKey, two-factor authentication. Everybody, Phil's sponsoring a video for that. I'm just waiting for the key to arrive in the mail. Hopefully it will do so before I go on a little trip in a few days. But anyway, so I'm working on it, and yeah, D, you're right. It's hard to be self-disciplined in that area because I've got building the business up. So, anyways, like me, it's a work in progress, but it's coming along. And I've only been doing this full time as my only income for it'll be 7 months at the end of May. So got some wiggle room to learn. Not I haven't reached the pro level like some of you. Now, Dee, you said that you got your first paid website. How many do you have now? And is there do you? Let me just switch you on to make you moderator here. If you've got a web page that I can check out or that you can share there for us to look at, I like to do that sometimes too here on the channel. So feel free to post the URL there. You got 2? Excellent. So you, D, this is something, 2 websites. Is it something that you're doing on the side? Okay, you're not there yet, eh? Okay. Well, that's okay. You can always send them to me privately anyways. Let me give you my address here. Because I'd like to see them anyways. That would be just email them to me, and then I'll check them out. Oh, there we go. erisfuels.ie. All right. I'm not going to put it. I won't. Well, everyone's going to be able to look themselves. Cool. That's your first client? Nice. I like that graphic of the truck zooming by. Got your 3-day forecast on there. Excellent. And just taking a look at things on the other screen here. Create a standing order. I like that. Yeah, about. Nice. I like that dripping oil nozzle there. And it's mobile friendly. Excellent. Good job. And you are using Rocket Theme, Gantry 5. Nice. I like that. I like Rocket Theme. I'm offending people by saying that I like Rocket Theme, not just because there's not just people who like other template systems, but because people who really like things pure and to the source and doing stuff custom with a lot of the great stuff that's coming along in Joomla that I haven't learned yet. But I really like those template systems. I like Rocket Theme because it just lets me do some stuff and get going along. And slowly but surely I'll learn some of those other things, especially for tutorials. But excellent. Good for you. And that's exciting beginning. Oh, you crashed out of Joomla and tried your next website on WordPress. By crashed, you mean you wanted to throw the laptop out of the window. Yeah. I've been there. You know, when I was talking about the when I discovered Joomla, there was a quick install of WordPress, and I installed it first, and we're talking back in 2002 or 3. No, or maybe even earlier than that. Maybe 2000. No. Joomla's been around 14 years, I think, or 15. So it can't be. It's got to be 2004 because it can't. Oh no, it was Mambo before then. That's right. It used to be called Mambo, so around 2002. Anyways, yeah, I was in WordPress. It just made no sense to me. It just did not click with me, and so I've read a lot, and every now and then discussions come up on which is better, Joomla or WordPress, and I think I can follow. I think I know well enough to follow the arguments to see that and the explanations that Joomla is better from a security setting and a number of factors, but right from the beginning, before I was concerned about or even knew to be concerned about anything like that, just how to use it made sense to me, and that just took a little while to figure out. Now I will say that Gantry 5, when I went from Gantry 4 to Gantry 5, when they brought that out, I just thought that was stupid, and I thought, what did they do? They broke this. This makes no sense. But I'm 52 years old, and I've learned to recognize that when I feel that way, it's most likely because I'm just grumpy and don't like change. And I just like things to stay the same, like everyone. So I kind of bit the bullet and kind of learning it. And I know there's some others that people swear by are really good. And but just hang in there. You'll get it. You will get it. Frank Kern says that the only thing we need to be a consultant is to know something that someone else doesn't know. So, for instance, in this case of Aris Fuels, they're probably a company that just needs a web page, want to have a presence on there, and you delivered it to them and are delivering it to them, and you'll figure it out. And so you got your foot in the door, so don't give up. Because sometimes I just remind myself not to give up. I might have a leg in the door, but sometimes it feels like an elevator door with a blade on it and no safety switch on it. I think I'm going to lose a limb. But and then on top of that, we want to get started about when I started running a server for my own hosting and that. So, anyways, all right. Well, nobody has typed anything for a while, and I've talked quite a bit for a long period of time. So that's probably a sign for me to, since my wife is not here, to encourage me to just move on. I will practice some self-control. And, one moment, just deploying something new. Okay. Hot off the presses from Phil Taylor. D, you're welcome. It's just, man, it's encouraging. Your comments are very encouraging. Because where I am weak on coding, I am strong on people wanting people to enjoy their sites and be able to use them. So just to know that this has helped, that is great. All right, Phil, I will wait while you deploy something. So we are either going, let me change screen. We're going to, when Phil deploys stuff, it usually goes pretty good. Although I do see tweets every now and then. He has broken something. So 15 seconds. All right, let me go down to one of the neat things here on Phil's site here is a change log. And he does change things often. So, for instance, the latest thing is a new not connected page from 3 days ago. And I bet that pretty soon, if he says 15 seconds, there'll be something there. We'll see what it is. Oh, not everything's in the change log. For instance, tears and bitter weeping in the fetal position is probably not in the change log. Go to the snapshot page of a managed site. All right, let's go to my Joomla sites here. Let me change into my grandpa glasses again. Let's go to basic Joomla, and we'll go to snapshot page. Okay, there's the snapshot page. I'm going to take a new snapshot. And this site is on my older, slower server. I haven't moved basic Joomla over yet. So I've got to configure it so that my backups aren't filling up the other server. Yeah, I bet you it is tiny. All right. Session garbage collector. Yeah, that's... Oh, do not use Livesite configuration unless absolutely necessary. Video. Is that it? Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Oh, now watch this. It's going to be like at the barbershop. Oh, there you go. You know, when you look in the mirror, watch this behind you. Like at the barbershop. And in front, you know, when you look in the mirror, watch this behind you. Oh, that's crazy. In front, you know, when you look in the mirror, watch this behind you. Oh, that's crazy. In front, you know, when you look in the mirror, watch this behind you. All right. This is psychedelic. All right, I'm enjoying that far too much, so I'm going to back up. Well, thanks, Phil. Thanks for putting that there. That is excellent. Cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, that'd be great. And you and I should talk about maybe something even having more polished stuff there. Because there's a lot of preamble and stuff, but I absolutely don't mind having that there. But I'm just as long if that's good enough for your site, that is great, and I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm happy. That's wonderful. Excellent. And I think I've got a few things in there that I know I've done the Joomla logs temp folder locations, and I'll have to look at some other things. But yeah, very cool. Thank you very much. Excellent. I'm glad you got the laptop out. Nice. That was kind of fun having all the screens inside of each other as well. Yeah, Phil, I'll take a look at some of what I've got that covers that, and yeah, that'll be great. We'll sort that out. All right, everybody, it's getting late. Hayo has gone to watch TV there in Germany, then he's going to bed. Phil is tired and wants to go to bed, as we see from the Z's there. Mary has supper to get ready. Dee, what's happening in Ireland? Must be late there. What are you Greenwich Mean Time? You're probably right. So I'm 5:25 here. If I add 8, 6 would be 11, 7 would be 12. Are you 1:25 there, Dee? 1:30. Okay. All right. So everybody's either tired or hungry. Okay. Phil, you're the same there. And or offline now. And anybody there lurking, thanks for listening. It's always great to have the watch time on there going up. And thanks, everybody. It's been great as usual. Enjoying the chat, hanging out together. And we'll catch you again soon. So, as always, enjoy your Joomla sites, and God bless.